We are back on Get Up. West Conference last night, Warriors and Timberwolves. Steph Curry hoping his teammates can keep their season alive in Game 5. Anthony Edwards, Jay Will had other ideas.
I mean, he was just balling right here in this court. Look, this guy is Thanos, man. He's taking everybody.
And Julius Randle, I'm not sure who Thanos' friend is, but whoever that is, Julius Randle's got range. Steph Curry can only watch in dismay. Wolves an 11-point lead. Late in the half, it's a 12-point game, and we're going the other way. Wolves had 20 assists in the first half. They have a 15-point halftime lead. Third quarter, more from Edwards. Edwards joining Kevin Garnett last night, UD, as the only Timberwolves with 1,000 career playoff points.
And I love the fact that he scores points, but the biggest thing about last night was he got his other guys involved. A career playoff high, I think, with 12 assists last night, and that was the most impressive thing to me.
He was terrific. Jimmy Butler, not so much. Quiet night for Jimmy. Randle going the other way. Wolves a 21-point lead at the end of 3, and they can smell it. Fourth quarter, Golden State making a little bit of a run. They cut it to 9, but wherever they had a question, Alan, it was Anthony Edwards who had an answer.
Yeah, and that's been the whole series. But again, defensively, the Warriors just could not contain this team, and that's been what they were their strength for most of the season.
You mentioned the 12 assists. There was one of them, a career high on the alley-oop to Jaden McDaniels, and so it's all over for Golden State. After Steph Curry goes down with the hamstring in Game 1, they never really challenge again. The real MVP is Monica McNutt, who flew back from Boston last night and made it in this morning. But the real question you have, congratulations, the Timberwolves. This is where they were a year ago. We'll see if they can take the next step. But you were wondering where one player was when Steph went down.
You weren't asked to win the war. You were asked to hold the damn line, right? For one game. One game, not 2 games, not 3 games, just one game. Give the sun in your solar system a chance to rise again for Game 6. That sun is Steph Curry. And what we came off last game where he took 9 shots, the fact that Jimmy Butler only took 11 shots when you needed him to be the most in this game is shocking to me. It's shocking to me. It's the biggest question I have from this series. This is a guy that's going to get paid $120 million over the next 2 years. $120 million, took only 11 shots. Now, I know the game got away, but UD, you're going to swing. If you're going to go out, you are going to go out swinging, not taking 2 more shots than the 9 shots you took in the game that you didn't come out for the night before.
Look, when Steph went down in the second quarter of Game 1, but they won that game anyway, we all sat here and said, well, look, they've got Jimmy Butler now. This is what he's there for. Win one game just to force a Game 6 where there would have been extra time, and maybe Steph makes it back. What did we see from Jimmy Butler?
I mean, this is who Jimmy is. I tell people this all the time. Jimmy is a very smart, calculated offensive player. He preys on mistakes. He needs you to have weaknesses. If you don't have a weaknesses, if you don't make a mistake, it's a tough night for Jimmy Butler. You put Jaden McDaniels on him. You have Ant-Man on him with athleticism. You have Julius Randle on him with size and strength. Then you have Rudy Gobert sitting in the paint. This was just not a series for Jimmy Butler. As great as Jimmy Butler is, there is a difference between LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. There is a difference between Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler. There's a difference between those guys. And that takes away nothing from Jimmy's greatness. He said it himself. I'm not the fastest. I don't jump the highest. I don't have the most skill level, but I play hard as hell. Well, that wasn't enough in this series.
Honestly, guys, this is without Steph, this team is back to the future, right? I don't think any of you would take Jimmy Butler over Stephen Curry. And so now you swap them out, and we're back to the team that we saw prior to February, which we all wondered if they had a chance to do anything in this window that was closing on Draymond and Steph. Yeah. So I get it. I hear you, Jay, and that was certainly the expectation. This is why you made the trade. But the practical basketball of it all, you're now back to this roster where you're questioning whether these supporting cast can hold the line enough, and it's way too much pressure on your centerpiece.
Let's remember what Jimmy said when he got to Golden State. I'm Robin. I'm Robin. And I've never seen a movie where Robin did anything to save the day.
Well,
Robin has to do something to help.
Robin usually causes trouble.
That's why Robin
is there. But Batman is not gone. Robin is supporting Batman.
That's right. Robin is usually tied to the train tracks, hoping that someone will come along and rescue him. And I'm not here for the Robin slander, but the point of it is this. I will admit that I am a hopeless romantic. And so when they made this deal and Draymond said, oh, we've got a chance now to win a championship, I found myself dreaming one last run for Steph. And obviously it didn't happen, and it happens in the worst possible way. I mean, for him not to even be healthy, to go down on the floor was just awful to watch.
You think it's the last run for Steph? You think this is the last
That's what I'm asking you. Was that his last, with Jimmy and everything else, his last best chance?
All I'm saying is I've seen the Golden State Warriors get creative before with their personnel and roster.
The one
I just never
big move. You're saying big move.
Why not Giannis?
In the words of Aretha Franklin, ain't no way.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no way.
Ain't no way what?
Ain't no way in hell they go back to the finals with Steph. And even with Steph, and this is no fault of Steph. Steph has been amazing. But you look at the West, it's only getting better.
Yep.
That's true.
Ant's getting more confidence. Julius Randle has reached his peak right now. He probably could get better. What are you going to say about SGA and those guys over there at OKC? I mean, come on, man. And I love Steph, but the reality of it is age is undefeated, dog.
I don't know, man. If Steph were playing in this series,
If they had five steps,
they might have been a favorite.
If they had 5 steps, I would give it to them.
No,
They said with Steph in this series, they would have a chance to win.
They don't win this.
They have
What are you talking about?
It goes 7.
They have a chance. They have a
Steph
chance.
was roasting him in the first game before he got hurt.
Yeah, and Julius Randle roasted everybody.
Well, that's fine. That's later.
Yeah.
Insert
Draymond
soft
Green
tissue
couldn't guard him.
injuries, which are now either early signs or signs of what? Either aging or you're not taking care of yourself. And we know Steph takes immaculate care of
Yes,
himself.
yes.
So I'm with you, Jay. I think it would have been far more competitive. I still
Agreed.
think I would have taken
It would
the
have been
Wolves coming
competitive,
out
but
of
I think the Wolves still
This is
win.
a young man's game, and we are so resistant of like giving that to the
Come on, Monica. I played 20 years.
Okay,
Wait,
don't
wait,
get me
wait,
like that. I played
one
20
at a
years.
time. Wait. Everyone's talking over each other. Alan,
Sorry,
what?
but just point off the other thing to point to the obvious with the Golden State roster is they don't have any size, and this is a league of length and athleticism. They don't have either one of those. They spend a lot of time on the perimeter. Butler was getting them to the free throw line. He did have 11 free throw attempts in this game. It's the one thing he did continue to do. But when Draymond Green is your big man and he's 6'8", you're not going to win a lot of games in the Western Conference with the way those teams are built.
I understand. I'm just saying, with Curry and Butler in the lineup, they were 23-7.
During the regular season.
I hear what everybody's saying about the fact that, hey, I would have had Minnesota favored, just like a lot of us had the Celtics favored, except Monica.
Last night, Game 5, Celtics without their superstar, trying desperately to keep their season and their defense of their championship alive against that man, Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks. And it was all early about Derek White, Jay Will.
Oh, Derek White got open look after open look, especially in transition.
Oh, look, he's open.
And this is a dagger for the New York Knicks.
Right.
You can't allow him to be the guy that gets hot from the outside.
You guys did an excellent breakdown early of the Knicks' breakdowns defensively that allowed Derek White to get going early. Then, cut me Mick. Monica, look at Josh Hart getting opened up.
When this happened, I was like, oh, God, is that his nose and is he going to have to go to the back? Because there was obviously blood everywhere, as you see there. But Josh Hart, one of the most durable and toughest players on the roster, he would rally.
Stayed in the game. He's a hockey player. He's not going anywhere. Late in the second, Celtics down by 3. Jaylen Brown, we demanded it of him, and he gave it to you.
Look, he made clutch shots down the stretch. What you like about him the most is that he did not settle, but the level of physicality, I mean, that's a grown man move right there.
Jalen Brunson, we were tied at 59 apiece. So bear in mind, the Celtics had owned the first halves. In this case, we're all even. And then UD, the Celtics owned the third quarter. It's Derek White again.
Yes, I mean, Derek White was getting going early, and the other guys got involved. I'm an other guy, so I love other guys. So
Derek White.
Luke Cornett, all those guys got it going.
Let's show you Luke Cornett. He was spectacular. What did you see from Cornett last night?
I mean, first things first, they started him in the third quarter. He had 5 blocks, his effort, his energy, his effort. So I'm going to change his name to Uncle Luke. We talking about the one from 2 line crew.
Cornett had 7 blocks in total in the game, 5 of them in the third quarter. The Celtics open up a 15-point lead. You saw Derek White. He had 7 threes on the night. He scored 34. Then it's Jalen Brunson. He committed 5 fouls in the third quarter, and then with this one, Monica, his night is over.
Yeah, and you know what? The silver lining on this, because this game was not about to be reverse course, you get him off his feet and you prepare for a matchup on Friday. But the 5 fouls in the third, it was a little, that was something to see there. Oh, boy.
Yeah, in one way and another. And then it's Cornett, who was spectacular again. The 7 block shots, and Allen, he was fantastic on both sides of the floor.
A huge impact player. You don't expect him, but, I mean, that's Celtics history. Darren Day, Leon Poe, now Luke Cornett joins it.
He had a monster night, quite literally the night of his career. That's the owner, Whit Grausbeck, there selling the team, but not until they get at least one more game. The Celtics live to fight another day or night. That night will be tomorrow night in Game 6 at the Garden, and it begins. For as great as Cornett was, as great as Derek White was, it begins with Jaylen Brown. You put the pressure on him. Sitting here yesterday, you said, you need to deliver, and he gave you that.
He showed the world why he was a franchise player, and that just wasn't with his offense. That's with his defense. I don't care if there was a hurt knee or not. He took on the challenge of guarding Jalen Brunson that consistently most throughout the course of the game. He got a ton of deflections. I mean, that play right there epitomizes the type of effort that I think Jaylen Brown played with. And also, guys, he had 12 assists in the ball game. Jason Tatum managed the game when he played for the Celtics. That is a role that Jaylen Brown took on last night. It's a role we're going to have to see him do throughout the course of the series and a lot next year with Tatum not being
Monica, he quite literally did everything, right? You asked him to be everything for the team last night if you were the Celtics, both on the floor and in leadership, and I think he gave you all of that. I give him a lot of credit for rising up in a terrible situation.
He set the tone. He set the tone defensively first, and then the offense seemed to follow. He knows that Jalen Brunson is the head of the snake for the Celtics, but from our vantage point, Greeny, where the radio booth is, you can see the Celtics bench. And in the third quarter, as they were making that run, I believe it was shortly after the exchange between Brown and Josh Hart, you saw him patrolling that sideline, standing up in front of the coaches, talking to his team. My best lip reading is the sentiment was, let's go, let's get this done. They're not going to win on our house. And he played like that. He said all the right things, and he played like that as well.
And then, look, I say it over and over again, Luke Cornett, quite literally, big fella, the night of his life, 5 of 5 from the floor, 9 rebounds, 7 blocks. He had a plus 20 in 25 minutes last night.
I mean, to me, he was the MVP of that game last
Me too.
night. You can't game plan for Luke Cornett coming in doing that. You're not expecting him to do that. And we're talking about 5 of those blocks in the third quarter. I think that sparked an 11-0 run, and it was just a 2-point game going into halftime.
So, Alan Hahn, you are not only part of the Knicks broadcast team at MSG, but you host the afternoon drive radio slot on the ESPN radio station in New York every single day. What are you going to say about the Knicks when you open your show this afternoon? What are you going to say about where the Knicks are going to Game 6 tomorrow night?
Backs against the wall. It's a must-win situation. But this is also where they've been a lot of this season. This is who they've been. Tom Thibodeau has said when their best is required, they are at their best. We have seen this before with them. For some reason, they struggle with prosperity, and we saw it one more time. As much as you want to credit Jaylen Brown, and he did play a heroic game, as much as you want to also talk about Luke Cornett being that X factor that you don't expect, there is a lot of credit that needs to be given to the Knicks and how poorly they played, especially transition defense, which you guys pointed out earlier in the show. They have got to get their pick-and-roll defense and their transition communication on defense back under control, because if they don't, this series is going back to Boston for a game.
Can I just take us in the trenches for a minute? I know we got the headlines out of the way about our biggest takeaway from the game, but there are 3 things that happened last night in the game that I do not like. And I get the games can get chippy, UD. I get people get dirty. But if you guys can please play that last video replay of when Jalen Brunson fouls out.
Last foul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at Jalen Brown's knee. He lifts it into the sacred area for Jalen Brunson. By the way, they've done this multiple times. Jalen Brunson did him on the elbow.
Got him earlier.
Okay, and also Jalen Brunson, it's happened to him multiple times. And Jalen Brown did it to Josh Hart when they got into a scrap. He grabbed it and yanked it to the side. I get it. Playoff basketball, it's going to be physical and aggressive, but like we don't need that kind of stuff.
Are you suggesting it's intentional? I mean,
1 million per. You doing that intention? Look at his left knee. Ooh. He rises his left knee up into the sacred area. And by the way, Jaylen Brown, that's intentional. Jalen Brunson gets intentional too. He always makes a fist, hits down when he drives by. All I'm saying is we don't need that in the game, y'all.
Brunson fouled out on that.
I feel we don't need that in the game.
That's a tough moment.
And another thing you don't need is your best player finding out 30 feet away from the basket.
Come on.
You don't need your best player taking a foul 30 feet away from the basket. That is not how Jalen Brunson needs to foul.
I will offer a silver lining on that when he got off his feet because it's a quick turnaround for a game on Friday. I agree with you, and he's got to be smarter, but he was not having a good game, so go ahead, sit down.
He was going to get off his feet real quick there either way. There's an.
I caught that late.
He might still be off his feet right now.
Yeah, they don't put us in these halls of fame for nothing. Okay, so here we go. So let me. We talked about who the Celtics needed to get it from last night, right?
Yes.
With Jaylen Brown, that had to be a given.
Yes.
Jalen Brunson tomorrow night, that has to be a given. He has to be brilliant for the Knicks tomorrow night. They have no chance if he isn't, just as the Celtics didn't. Yes. But the Celtics then needed it from other people. They got it from Derek White and Luke Cornett. Who are those people? Who do they have to be for the Knicks tomorrow to end this in Game 6?
Who do the players that the Knicks need to play
who
those
besides
same roles?
Jalen Brunson?
I need
who
Mikal
needs to
Bridges.
rise up and
in the games that they've won, Mikal Bridges have been big down the stretch. Even the game where he struggled, he made a big shot down the stretch. He got a big steal down the stretch. So he's impacted winning every game that they won. So whether it be scoring, whether it be his defensive impact, whether it be getting a stop, whatever it is, whether it be getting in the paint and pulling up like he left his phone when he gets all those middies, whatever it is, Mikal Bridges needs to make his impact.
If the Knicks lose this series because of the lack of production of Karl-Anthony Towns and a lack of physicality, while Julius Randle is out west, who's become the physical bully that every Knicks fan has begged for, I feel like Knicks fans are going to be on the verge of a heart attack in a life-threatening situation.
So
that's what's happening right now in real time.
That is every call I'm going to get.
Oh my, that's everything with this series.
Every call I get today will be about that.
Listen, I thought Reggie Miller did a very good job pointing it out on the broadcast last night. Karl-Anthony Towns' second foul last night is one of the 5 dumbest things I've seen in this entire postseason because it sets you up for right? Guys running through, just two-hand shove in the back, accomplishes absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And it's his second foul. And as Reggie Miller points out, when he gets his inevitable his traditional third foul that Karl-Anthony Towns gets in the second quarter of literally every game.
Tradition.
I mean, it's a tradition unlike any other. Jim Nantz should be here to announce it. He's going to get his, there it is. There it is. It always gets his third foul. But that's why, because he picks up the one that makes no sense at all. Then he's no factor in the game whatsoever, comes on late, makes a bunch of completely irrelevant baskets, and you look afterwards and you're like, well, okay, Towns had 19 points and 8 rebounds. He did his part. Behind. He's who I was talking about. But Karl-Anthony Towns needs to play big.
That should be a given.
Tomorrow night.
That should be a given. But I'm not a Knicks fan. But for Knicks fans, you guys got to say what you got to say. But that should be a given. And we need the physicality, Karl-Anthony Towns. We need the Karl-Anthony Towns that throws elbows, that mixes it up a little bit, and stay away from that three-point line. I mean, we know we labeled ourselves the best shooting big, and you can do that. But this game calls for physicality.
I believe he's hit 2 threes in the series. So the shooting part, we need to be.
I can go out there and get 2 of them things up.
This is what I will say, though, and Tim said this yesterday prior to the press conference. He really likes the way that his team is playing off of one another. And so, yes, on paper, Karl-Anthony Towns is next on the hierarchy in terms of the guy that needs to have the big game. But I do think when the Knicks play well off of one another, it leaves room for different guys to go off. OG Anunoby plus 20 points has kind of been the key to unlock their success in this postseason as well. And so to me, if Karl-Anthony Towns has a monster rebounding game and is attentive defensive and is up to touch on the screens the way we saw in Game 4, that is going to be just as important as him putting up a double-double performance if Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby are also clicking as well.
I wanna try to boast at what I look like. Keep them going, try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here,